Big news incoming alert. Apple Music is now in your DJ software. This is huge news. The biggest company on the planet Earth are investing in the DJ industry and into you as a DJ, into us. We're allowed to play Apple Music on our DJ software. We're going to talk about what it means. We're going to talk about the products that you can use it with, the software you can use it with, and just a general conversation about what it means with the biggest company in the world investing in the DJ industry. Let's go.
Music, industry talk, stories, equipment and more. We are Crossfader and this is off the record. Off the record. Off the record.
Hello, Jamie Hartley.
Hello.
We're excited, aren't we?
We are. We're very excited.
Excited.
I mean, yeah.
The excitement's grown because it's like we got this announcement through, and this is literally going out as all of the announcements is going out, so you'll see it everywhere. And you go, okay, cool. You know, streaming is inside DJ software, so what is this? But then you start to think about
what it means for the industry.
Yeah. So if you are listening to this podcast, you don't have Apple Music, don't worry. It's not going to be all about, you know, like you're not going to be excluded from this conversation. We're going to talk about what this means in practice for the DJ industry. We're going to talk about it as a wider topic as well. But let's just get straight into the breaking news, which is Apple Music have just launched DJ with Apple Music, and I'm going to give you some very scripted stuff from Apple. They're good at announcements.
Yeah.
One thing they know how to do.
They know how to write a press release.
And we haven't actually seen like the videos and stuff yet. We're sort of...
It's really tough, isn't it? Because it's such a big company. We don't really, you know, we kind of got the beta bills like a day ago or something.
Yeah.
So you filmed a little bit on it, but it's...
Yeah, and when you get the embargo from Apple, you do pay attention. You make sure you're not leaking anything. So this is actually an earlier than usual podcast. It's like an emergency podcast. Yeah. So we're a bit earlier. So let's get into it, right? Introducing DJ with Apple Music. Today, Apple introduced DJ with Apple Music, an integrated experience with with leading DJ software and hardware platforms, Alpha Theta, Serato, Engine DJ, Denon DJ, Newmark, and Rain DJ, enabling Apple Music subscribers to build and mix sets directly from Apple Music's catalog and adding to a first integration with Algoriddim DJ Pro software. So yeah, this isn't like new because obviously Algoriddim have had it for a few months now. When you went to Algoriddim Towers, didn't you? And they had a big
head office. So they kind of brought it first because they did the spatial headset development. So obviously because they were developing that for the Apple Vision Pro, they obviously created a partnership there with them and were like, hey, can't we use Apple Music, because kind of that's the only way to access music in the headset. So that kind of forced Apple Music to potentially go, okay, yeah, well, let's try this. That then rolled out to their DJ app on, you know, iOS, Android, and even on their desktop app, allowing Apple Music to be accessed. And they were the first to do that. And that was quite a while ago now, maybe 6 months ago or something, So then the whole of the industry's probably gone, hey, Apple, knocking on the door, like, you're doing this for Algoriddim and DJ, like, what about us? You know?
I'll carry on with the sort of press release. This integration ensures that DJs at every level have an easy and intuitive access to Apple Music's catalogue of over 100 million songs to create and rehearse their sets on any of these DJ software and hardware platforms, a way for any DJ to hone their craft and shape their future sets. Here's a quote. Apple Music is committed to supporting DJs.
Big quote.
That is big.
Yes.
That is so big. Apple Music is committed to supporting DJs, says Stephen Campbell, Global Head of Dance, Electronic and DJ Mixes at Apple. He's just got a new job, this guy, hasn't he? He just got promoted. He's buzzing, is Stephen Campbell. With the latest integration, we're taking that commitment even further, seamlessly connecting Apple Music with industry-leading DJ software and hardware. This innovation brings the full power of Apple Music into the creative workflow, making it easier than ever for DJs to access, play, and discover music in real time. So, beginning today, users can access a new dedicated DJ with Apple Music category page. This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
spotlighting a series of DJ-friendly editorial playlists along with new curator pages for each DJ software and hardware platform, showcasing any mixes or sample playlists that can be used in practice.
Yeah.
So this is a whole team, a whole collaboration between the DJ software platforms, between Apple Music, onto a dedicated curator page on Apple Music platform, which is called basically DJ with Apple Music, like its own page, its own curation.
And there's loads of like big DJs that are putting playlists together to enable people to quickly take those playlists and mix them and just, potentially mix like your favorite DJs, using the songs that they've suggested. But it's more a case of, Apple Music have had DJ mixes and they have been pushing DJs but the pro level DJs, they've been pushing the pro level DJs, they've been spotlighting them and featuring them within Apple Music, and that's been going on for a while now. These big DJs have been able to even share like mixes on Apple Music, but they've opened this ecosystem up now to the world of DJs, the entry level DJs, the beginner DJs, the DJs, me and you that are sat here can then utilize their streaming. Now, streaming integration isn't anything groundbreaking. It's nothing new. It's been around a long time, and there's some great other streaming options out there. For example, you've got SoundCloud, you've got Tidal, you've got Beatport and BeatSource. These have been around for a long time, but the fact that Apple Music is now in that list only bolsters this commitment to like streaming music and DJing becoming one and being supported on a much grander scale. So it's really interesting.
Because I've gone off a bit of a sort of tangent, but it coincides with the rise in DJs headlining major festivals, and we're just putting a graph on screen just to show you the sort of rise in DJing as a trend. So on screen there's a graph that's basically showing a bit of a rise from 2020 up until now, a steady rise in the phrase DJing and what it means. And I think it's so funny because it's so not contradictory to what we've discussed in previous episodes of the podcast about nightclub closures around the world. It does highlight that just the audience is just changing to what DJing is, and probably for the better long term. So even though there is a lot of industries and nightlife closing down, which is super sad, we are from that world. I'm still in that world, still love that world. The rise of DJing and what a DJ is becoming is different, and Apple see that and are backing that. And like I said, all headlines in the world have DJs now headlining it as opposed to acts. And it does back this point of, if you've just got into DJing, if you are a DJ, you've picked the right industry. It is growing, and that's amazing to see. We see it with our students and our courses and things like that.
And there's the flip side of this. There's going to be the interesting thing of if this graph and this trend has a bit more of an uplift, because I was just saying to you before we hit record on this podcast that like, are we now going to see the art, the DJing sort of ecosystem showcase more in like future Apple keynotes? Apple Music is a product of the Apple ecosystem, and if they see success from the DJ sector of Apple Music, then they might look at their hardware and they might look at their other products and how they can integrate the success across their ecosystem. And it's not wild to think that we're going to start seeing DJs show up more and more within the keynotes, within like the development that they're trying to push into their products. We see benchmarks against like how editing software gets better and better and more powerful, how animation software gets better and more powerful with each M1, M2, M3, M4. Are we just going to start to, is DJ going to be part of the conversation now for Apple? And it's not just about music production, it's not just about your Logic or your Final Cut Pro for video editors. It's now about DJ software, and this is where it's going to be interesting with the biggest company getting behind it. There's
loads of quotes from obviously InMusic, Alpha Theta, Serato, but then Apple finish with this quote, which is DJ with Apple Music builds upon the success of Apple Music's DJ Mixes, a program that since its announcement in September 2021 has turned Apple Music into the premier destination for premium DJ mixes.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like they've been backing it, but only on like that pro level scale.
So today's launch aims to expand on that relationship by encouraging DJs to use this integrated experience as a creative tool, allowing them to access and find inspiration in their libraries more easily. Exciting stuff. I think let's get into it a bit more granular because there's different things on different software and different hardware that we can dive in a little bit deeper as well. So
do you know what's quite interesting though? This is the first time we've had a press release where all the companies are coming to us with a combined release at the same time. Usually, you know, one company releases a product, but then suddenly everyone's like, "This is super important.
Apple,
we need you to cover this." Like,
Well, Apple talks, you would listen.
But it's great. It's given this feeling of like the industry's been forced to come together.
Yeah,
your engine DJ, your Recordbox, everyone's had to come together and like, you know, announce this together. So quite interesting.
With the end user is the most important part of this. The DJ using it, which is amazing. It's brought the industry together, and hopefully that continues. So yeah, let's start with sort of Recordbox integration. Now, the exciting thing is if you have an XDJ AZ or Omnis Duo, this actually integrates onto the hardware itself. So it's got a custom built sort of Apple Music. It's got streaming inside it. So if you're an AZ user or Omnis Duo, you can play on Apple Music now directly from the actual hardware unit, which is a nice touch. And if you are a engine DJ user, actually, let me stick to Recordbox for now. So with Recordbox, you can basically access it 4 ways. Let me just get the ways up here.
It's via the laptop.
Yes.
With a controller plugged in performance mode. So that's a traditional controller setup.
Yeah.
You could, plug your DDJ Flex 4 in. You could plug in your Flex 10. You could plug in an old DDJ 1000. Whatever it is, you plug it into performance mode and you can now log into Apple Music like you can log into other streaming platforms. You can use their mobile app, which is their Recordbox like iOS and app, is it Android now as well? I'm not sure. Their dedicated app and log in there, which is interesting because that only has, I think, SoundCloud and now Apple Music and maybe Beatport, but I don't think it has all of them supported in there. So they've prioritized that. And then the other two.
So you can basically export your Apple Music playlist to Recordbox via Cloud Direct Play. So you can basically.
It's so messy, this thing.
It is messy, and I was on the the Zoom call with the team, with the announcement, and it was just a bit messy. But basically, you can go. You can plan a set with Apple Music and you can put your hotkeys and stuff, and then you can use a Cloud Direct Play with your USB to then bring up all your cue points and stuff. But yeah, a bit messy, and you're probably not going to do that. But what I do like about Recordbox, which you can't still do on Serato, is you can have playlists with different streaming services.
So you could have SoundCloud and Apple Music and combine them.
Which is amazing, which Serato still doesn't have, which is annoying. So there's a few ways to use it with, and like I say, if you do have an Omnis Duo or an AZ, and I'm guessing from any future thing they bring out now,
I guess the all-in-one stuff.
You would hope.
Yeah, it's interesting that there's obviously the capability to have it on CDJs because Beatport streaming is in CDJs. Obviously, they have to be connected to an internet connection. It's interesting that they haven't rolled out like direct login on the CDJs at launch, but I can imagine that would come in the future.
I thought so,
with a firmware update. But to do that at the moment, it's a case of no. So if they're doing Cloud Direct Play, is that for the AZ and the Omnis Duo directly? So just so that you can prepare your sets and cue points. So it's not that you can do that on Recordbox and then go. Log into Cloud Direct Play on CDJs.
But that would be the end goal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so I'm sure that must be coming soon. Or does that mean do the CDJs, there's something that's not supported in the CDJs and we get a new model of CDJ, 3000 Mark II?
Well, this is what I think is going to happen, because I think is it 5 years since the 3000s?
No, surely not. No.
Is it not?
Maybe it is. Maybe it
might be.
You keep talking, I'll just
I think it might be. We're in 2025 now. I think it is. It might not be. Right, Serato. Serato's a bit more simple.
2020?
See, I told you.
Late 2020. So yeah, it is coming up on 5 years.
This happens when you get older. Everything just feels like it was last year.
Okay.
So this is what I think. I think there'll be a Mark II 3000 out this year, which will have, because we've still got USB-B ports and stuff, and that's all dead. So who knows? Well, we'll see. We don't have any information about that, by the way. Let's talk about Serato's pretty simple. It works.
Just quickly, because people are going to be thinking. So the CDJ 2000 and then the 2000 Nexus 2, so like next step up, there was 7 years in between them.
Okay.
It was 2009, I think, for the CDJ 2000, 2016 for the Nexus. Not, I mean, technology is advancing so quickly now that can just be thrown out the window. But just for context,
maybe
5 to 7 years.
We'll put it out there in the universe. Serato's very a lot simpler. It works with any sort of Serato hardware. One thing to mention at this point is two, I guess, little downsides of it. One, you can't use stems with Apple Music, at least not yet. There was a bit of a conversation in the press meeting that I had about it, and that's basically up to Apple. It's nothing to do with the software companies. It's basically up to Apple.
To give you context, so I think this is because it's up to Apple, and I think the labels to a degree, because there's this whole pricing issue with Tidal and Beatport, and they had to all change their prices to kind of match, to allow the ability for things like offline mode and stems, because the labels were like, we're giving away too much for too cheap, and that's where I don't know if Apple Music is still, what is it, like $9.99 or something?
I think so, or 11 maybe.
Whereas all the other ones, to like unlock those things and to integrate into DJ software and have stems, usually is, I think it's like $19.99. You've got to like, it's almost double. But then there's SoundCloud. Can you get stems on SoundCloud? That's something I need to check.
Don't know. Maybe we can get it
because that's cheaper.
So yeah, no offline locker, no stems, and basically in Serato it's just like grayed out. You just can't use it basically. Which is
no offline locker in Recordbox either.
There's no offline locker. Yeah, there's no offline locker with Apple Music. With Serato, they've launched a curator page as well, which will be live when this goes out, and it has playlists and mixes from DJ Puffy, our boy, Jasmine Solano, and Z Muffin. I think there's a video coming out from Serato. We've just seen a still image of it with a DJ set with loads of flowers around it. I don't know what that's going to be, but they always do decent videos.
Cool creative,
They always do cool creative. So yeah, interesting stuff. I think they've also, one thing to mention as well, that they've gone beyond just adding streaming. They've got the curated playlist, and they're building out DJ-friendly pages. That they're even running they've got basically a 24/7 global DJ radio station called Apple Music Club, which is going to play into this whole thing. So yeah, it's exciting. Are you gonna swap your Spotify?
So this was my next question. Do you know anyone with Apple Music?
No, but there's
one. Will in the office.
Will in the office
has Apple
has
Music.
I did.
That's the one person I now know.
Yeah, I had it probably 7 years ago, and then as soon as I heard Spotify, I was like, ooh. So, but it's a different. I've got a different feel behind it now, because coming from a DJ's perspective, I'm definitely going to try it. I've got a month free trial.
There you go. So anyone can get a month free trial.
So a month free trial. Yeah. So if you want to just try it and have a look at all this stuff, there's a month free trial for everybody that joins. But yeah, I'm gonna test it out. I just want to see what it's all about. It'd be interesting. You know, they're all about like DJ friendly edits. It's obviously not going to go as far as Beat Source and have like intro outros, but it'd be interesting to see what the curation is like, because I think that's where me and you agree that Spotify's algorithm outweighs Apple Music's,
yeah.
And that's kind of the consensus. That's why it's done so well. So it's interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think it's worth testing if you're a DJ. It's worth testing. It's one of the cheaper options as well as a platform, isn't it? So interesting to see. It brings it. Let me just talk about Engine DJ for a second. So available on Engine DJ, and you can use it with these hardware. UMAT Mixstream Pro Plus, UMAT Mixstream Pro Go, Denon DJ SC Live 2, SC Live 4, DJ Prime 4 Plus, DJ Prime Go Plus. So they all have Amazon Plus as well, Amazon Music.
Yeah, so what I know from them is that there was a chip within those, there was all these products released that were like, oh, we're releasing a new version, the Pro Plus version, which had nothing different really, like maybe it's like color scheme change, but what the real difference was that they told us is this chipset that they needed to put that was the newer and more, I think it was more secure or something, that allowed for the Amazon Music streaming, and then obviously opening up to this Apple Music streaming. And I think these digital service providers needed a certain level of data chipset to be able to roll out and be comfortable integrating their music catalog into it. I think it's a bit more than just a standard like API connection. So I think that's why they were creating these iterations of their products because of this chipset thing.
Yeah. So that's probably an AZ and Omnis Duo potentially, or something.
Potentially, yeah.
Similar.
There's something going on there. Yeah. It's super interesting.
It's interesting, and it sort of brings back. It sort of brings into focus a bit of what the main benefit this is to the software companies is getting people in the door that I guess aren't DJs yet. So obviously Apple Music, the consumer base in general, won't be DJs because you can't DJ with it. So anyone listening to this probably doesn't have it.
Yeah, because you're paying for
something else, right? Yeah. So their whole thing is to basically keep retention and stop drop off on their product, basically, because you want to learn to DJ. I've got an Apple Music account. You download some software, whatever it is, and you can't DJ with it. Whereas now you can. So again, it'll just probably help the influx of people wanting to learn to DJ. There's not more water over. That's good. People wanting to learn to DJ. That's the biggest thing, basically. So a lot of people will be like, well, I don't want more people coming in and taking my job. But as an industry, you want it to be as active as possible. So it's exciting stuff. So it does bring into the question of like this whole sort of ecosystem of, is streaming just the end goal for everything that we're trying to get to? Because there is still like issues with streaming, right? Again, Wi-Fi connection, standalone, and CDJs. You can't. It still is a bit like.
Yeah, because if you think this is great, sign up to Apple Music and get on my music, then you're like, right, I've just got my first gig. Whoa, what am I gonna do? Because I can't get any of that music now on my CDJs. Like, I'm gonna have to like plug my laptop into HID mode, and now I have to learn HID mode, and now I need to make sure there's a stable internet connection because there's no offline locker, and there's all these knock-on effects that it's not quite there yet because it's not quite as seamless as just having music files.
Yeah.
But nobody has music files. Like the general new consumer of music, the way that they acquire music, they don't acquire it. It's just files. Streamed. Yeah, it's just streamed because downloading music's becoming like a thing of the past for the general consumer. So there's still a big disconnect when the general consumer comes into, I want to learn to DJ and I want to become a DJ. And then they start and they go, okay, well, I've got all this music. How do I play it? It's still a bit of a weird disconnect.
We always get emails like in our courses because we have like a free music pack, and people don't understand to download files and like import them into music because they're just used to having them. Used to going and searching and finding music. Like
the actual act of like having a file stored
extracting
on your laptop.
A zip file. They're like, what? Which is fine, but but there is still a disconnect of, okay, cool, so I'm a DJ. I've got Apple Music. I've got all my hot cues set and stuff, and now I've got to go play a gig where I've got no laptop or whatever. It's like,
I don't know. It's the end goal. I think there is an end goal. That's what they're trying to work towards, and we're only getting more and more connected. And internet connectivity is becoming faster and faster and more widespread.
More stable.
Where things like 5G have rolled out and all this stuff. It's only going to get more connected. It's just interesting to see. It comes down to Alpha Theta now, and their next model of CDJ. That's the big crux of this, because there's so much that has happened in the last 5 years, like we've just found out since the last one. Like stems is here to stay. It's something that has come and it's taken over. It's within all the software now. It's part of people's workflow. It's something that people just want to utilize. So that's a big thing. That are we going to see something implemented on the next CDJ model? But then it's like, okay, that requires a lot of power and a lot of maybe something to power that. But then people are also saying, well, I want streaming, so then there's all the connectivity of like, okay, we need Wi-Fi now, we need this, we need that. And I know Den and DJ really, they did a great job of implementing streaming very well into their hardware, but they still haven't quite hit the mark with stems. They've tried to make it stand alone, and it's still not quite there yet. And it is just power. It's like the chips that we have in MacBooks now are so powerful compared to anything else, and it's I don't know.
For them to create a chip, you have to sell it at like $5,000 to be like as powerful. But it's like the compound rate of how quick technology moves is like it's probably not as far away as we think, and there's probably you can probably go to Pioneer's office now and they're probably like we're doing it, like. But I think the end goal with like CDJs would be to like log in. I've got Apple Music there. I've got all my hot cues and stuff ready. That's like iteration 1, taking stems out of it a little bit. Because
Yeah.
not all club DJs really want it or need it. A bit of a separate thing, but the very simple facts for what you could prep on your phone, on your laptop, and then go and just log in on my CDJ.
Yeah.
That is doable.
What Alpha Theta and Recordbox have done poorly, right, is they've created more and more products around music management and distribution between their things. So it's like, okay, you can have cloud direct play or the cloud streaming or whatever it is. And there's all these different products that then have to integrate with like Dropbox or Google Drive or then these other products that have to attach to it. And then you've got to make a decision and learn how to actually use all of these interconnected technological things to then just play some music on some CDJs, right? And what they really need to do is like take a leaf out of Engine DJ and Denon's book of going, okay, we just need a user profile, right? You need to just log into your Alpha Theta user profile, and that knows whether you're signed up to Apple Music or this music or that, and it just shows your connections on the CDJ, and you access the music there, and it's all collated together rather than like, okay, if you're wanting to get your locally stored files over here, you've got to do it this way with this part of our product. But if you want it streaming, then you've got to sign up over here and do this. And there's such a disconnect. And I think that's the hard thing with them, is because they've got the pro level CDJ market and they've dominated that, and they can't change that too quickly because it's out there in clubs and so many DJs are using it in the workflow that they're happy with. So they can't just remove the ability to just like export some tunes and play them. But it's going to go that way. I think the next CDJ is tell all. And the tricky thing here is I know that they have to develop these things years in advance. And the technology, when maybe since they started developing the next iteration of CDJ to now, when potentially it's going to be out this year, next year, it's got to be in the next few years. The technology's advanced so much since they probably started developing it, and they're always going to be playing catch up now with the rate of technological advancement.
Vinyl DJs are melting.
But there is something so simple.
But this is what I mean. Like
physical.
All vinyl DJs are like, hello. It's very fucking simple. I buy a vinyl and I play it. I don't need to know anything else. And there is a beauty to that.
There is,
There is. I just sort of, as you were talking, then I was having a bit of a think about when we're talking about, basically, Pioneer have the control over like the club or the festival or something. As DJ is changing and evolving, clubs are closing, venues are changing, more people are just starting on software, maybe even on phones or laptops or whatever it is, just very easy consumer DJs. It's reminding me a little bit of what's happening with like Nike as a brand. It's like all of a sudden these other products and stuff that pop up that become easier all of a sudden just become naturally into people's workflow. And it might be that one day, like Pioneer is, because they've not caught up and they're not doing what the consumer wants, that other products might just come along and just nip little bits of the market here and there. Because you don't need to be in the clubs to be a DJ is what I'm saying. They might just be a bit like, well, other companies are, other companies are doing it, but do you know what I mean? It's a bit like little pieces of the market are coming and doing the things that we actually want and making it simpler. That it might just be like, oh, this makes sense.
Because it's not the path to pro DJ is not linear anymore. It's not, okay, well, the gear I'm going to end up on is the CDJ because that's the end of the goal, and I'm going to be in clubs and festivals, and that's still a huge part of it. But we've discussed it so much, haven't we, about all these other paths that people are now taking and other ways to like turn it into a profession that don't require you to be in a club. And that could have definitely a knock-on effect and help other brands make moves in the industry. It's interesting though.
It's interesting. It brings the question of like, okay, what is the option now for getting your music? Because like I say, if you're a vinyl DJ, it's like very simple. Go out, buy vinyl, play vinyl, and it's like there's something beautiful in that. And it maybe just be getting to a point where there's just so many options, there's so many services and things like that. What do you choose? So basically, you've got essentially 5 ways to get, or 6 ways actually. You've got your record pools, you've got your streaming services, you've got your downloads like SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Let's call them like bootlegs, edits sort of world.
Free downloads.
You've got free downloads, buying tracks, and then you've got your sort of buying records as well. Where obviously Apple Music comes into this streaming services where you've got Tidal, Beatport streaming, SoundCloud Go Plus. You got loads of different ones. Beatport Locker, and like I said, other like for Beatport Locker, for example, you can use that and you can put it on a CDJ, and there's different integrations. So it's interesting to see where this is going to go, because you've got how many millions of people sign up for Apple Music now, able to, I guess, just, download Algoriddim DJ or go on Recordbox mobile app and, have a mess around and sort of think about what it is they want to do and if they enjoy it. But it is interesting to know what sort of hybrid of stuff people are using. I'd love to know in the comments what your preferred music setup is. Mine is I would say probably 90% still SoundCloud edits, DJ pool, because I need to use USB. Whereas I then also have a streaming services. My streaming service is more for discovery, right? Finding music, putting them in a playlist, and then maybe going back to that, and then I'm trying to search for the song to download it. Yeah.
So you're still trying to still trying to have the files, right?
Yeah.
You still want the files.
Yeah. And if I find something I come across on Spotify or something, I'll save it to a playlist, and then I'll go and find an edit or a remix or a bootleg or something of it, or from my record pool I use the mashup. So I'd love to know people's workflow. If you're like a event DJ or something, you can probably be afford to be 90% streaming. If you've got offline locker, for example, there's no issue that if you're playing a similar set every week, you can't have BeatSource or Beatport or something or Tidal and have an offline locker, and you can just pull for tracks that you don't need a stable internet or anything like that. If you're doing corporate events, generally, in decent venues, will have strong Wi-Fi signal. It's not an issue for you. So I'd love to know what people's workflow is now. Please let us know down in the comments. And yeah, exciting stuff. I mean,
can I pose a question?
You can. Pose a question.
What if Apple Music acquired someone?
Yeah.
Let me just throw that out there. What do you think? Imagine if they acquired Algoriddim DJ.
Oh, you mean like
no, hardware or software?
Oh, right, okay.
Or they acquired Serato, or they acquired. I mean, they'd be looking at hardware. I think it would be I don't know, because I could see Algoriddim DJ.
Yeah,
and
they've got
Apple,
the best relationship with Apple.
They've won all the awards, and they've developed so closely together over the years.
It would make sense for an Apple DJ hardware product that is Algoriddim DJ to be on shelves, wouldn't it? It just feels very easy for them to do that. Yeah. But
it's not far off it. The Apple Vision Pro, it's it's there.
Yeah.
That's the hardware for the DJ Pro at the moment. But what's to stop them from making something? I saw that there was a patent that Apple put in for modular DJ related stuff.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Yeah,
it was a few years ago.
It was, yeah.
That I think basically they were looking at ways to, how they have the keyboard that attaches to the iPad.
Oh right, yeah.
So it's a magnetic, and they've got the Apple Pencil. It's something that just magnetically attaches to the iPad. That would be sick. That is your basic DJ controls. That would be sick. Yeah. Which you can imagine that, can't you?
I can easily imagine that. Easily, just a little consumer Apple product, bolt on, under $200, something like that. That just connects MIDI or whatever, Bluetooth or whatever.
And I think they'd want to keep it in the consumer area rather than we're going to now lean into the pro DJ market and be in clubs and stuff. I don't think that's not what they're interested in. But I can really imagine some kind of acquisition.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'd mean long term for the industry, because again, this goes back to the monopoly side of stuff. It was blocked. The Serato and Alpha Theta thing was blocked because of the monopoly that it would have on the market. But if Apple came along, the biggest company in the world, and acquired some DJ company, would that create a monopoly somehow?
I'm curious to see.
I think that's where Alpha Theta would start sweating. If it wasn't them being acquired.
I'm curious to see the level of effort in the sort of DJ curation world, because it's are a company like Beatport sweating a little bit because of the power that they have? Because if you're an electronic music DJ, you can find there's a lot of music on there that isn't anywhere else.
Yeah.
But if say you're a producer and you're trying to make money, it's more beneficial for you to get it in the eyes of more people, right? It's obvious that if they start leaning into the more the subcultures of the industry, not just your top 40 charts and all that stuff, but your Afro melodics and all that stuff. If they start leaning in and really curating good products from that, does that take away the attention from Beatport? You still don't have the power of being able to go and spend, buy one for a couple of dollars on Beatport and have it. But, if it wouldn't make sense for you anymore to pay for like Beatport streaming, for example.
Yeah.
Because you've got Apple Music, you've got the same stuff, but then you've got 100 million other songs.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm more interested in.
So there's all these USPs from different streamers, and this is where the tricky thing is you've got Beat Source and Beatport owned by the same umbrella, like the same people. So Beatport own Beat Source, and everyone just wants them to integrate, right? That would then be like the equivalent of an Apple Music. You've got your electronic music side covered, and you've also got your general open format covered, all in the same service, rather than having two quite expensive subscriptions. So then Apple Music has got all that in one, and maybe it doesn't quite have the deep selection that Beatport has at the moment. But like you say, if they put some energy into that, it's very quickly Apple Music can make some other platforms become more and more obsolete. So it's finding where those USPs are. It's really interesting. SoundCloud it's stood the test of time. It's held on so well.
It's got its own thing.
It's got its own thing. And they've done really well at leaning into that creator economy. Yeah. And it's more than ever, the music creator is like blowing up. Anyone can play around with music and create edits and stuff easier and easier now.
It's still interesting that SoundCloud has gotten away for so many years. Because remember when there was all DJs was uploading SoundCloud, that was the biggest platform, and then there was this 3-strike system of uploading copyright.
The stress,
and then all DJs basically got kicked off of it, right? So then we all left.
Yeah,
and then did it get acquired? And then there was a press release of like, oh, by the way, we've sacked off that idea, and now there's never been any more bootlegs on it. And there's this grey area of like, everyone's downloading music off SoundCloud for free and. Is anyone getting paid for it? Do you know what I mean? It's such a strange grey area that I'm so grateful exists, because there's the 90% of my DJ sets come from SoundCloud edits, and it's part of like your culture, and I put on edits there, and millions of DJs put on edits there, and DJs blow up. Like DJs get booked for being really good at DJ edits, and you sort of build a profile around it, and then you build trust with this, the editor of music, and you go back to them every week, and I've got notifications on from my best ones and all that kind of thing, and there's I don't see how there's any way the artist who has been bootlegged is getting a kickback from that. Maybe they are, but I doubt they are. So it's a really weird integration. There's different announcements coming soon that will allow DJs to upload to various platforms and create edits and get monetized from them. We had a chat with Mixcloud a couple of weeks ago about how they see it going. You can go and check that out as well. But yeah, very interesting to know what the crack is. Have you found out there? Yeah,
so it's really interesting going into the business side of these streamers. So SoundCloud was gearing up for a sale. They were trying to find a sale throughout 2024. They slashed 8% of its workforce the year before to then try and make the company profitable, because I don't think it's ever been profitable, like you were saying. Yeah. So they're trying to make the company a profitable company, not just to make it profitable, but to then actually make it like sellable as well, because they've said that some of the key stakeholders, like the original investors in the company, basically want to like realize their investment. So they want to get the money out of it that they put in at the start, kind of thing.
Well, that makes sense with when SoundCloud Go launched and they're trying to make money from streaming and that kind of thing. And I remember Chance the Rapper being involved. I remember him investing because he sort of blew up from there, didn't he? And I remember him saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm an investor now," and everyone's like, "Yes." But yeah, interesting. I feel like we're making Apple sound like a villainy of like coming and trying to like take over the industry. But yeah, I would love to know in the comments like what your workflow is now of like between vinyl, between record pools and downloading music, and between streaming. Please let us know. You know what? It'd be really good if there was some great breaking news every week. It would, yeah. This podcast would be so easy to plan. Otherwise, we're just sort of scratching our heads for content. Right. Thanks for so much watching this early emergency podcast. If you didn't listen last week, we did have chapter and verse last week. We've got a guest in next week. I don't know if it'll be ready to go out next week, but there's a guest in coming in next week as well. But yeah, let us know in the comments what your preferred method of finding music is. Thanks for watching this broadcast brought to you by Crossfader. If you are interested in learning to DJ, you can with us. Just go to wearecrossfader.co.uk now. Use the code 20 off the record for 20% off all of our DJ courses. Or you can go and check out the complete package, which is all of our courses bundled into one package with 50 hours of bonus content and lifetime access. Go and check it out at wearecrossfader.co.uk now. And we'll see you next week.
Peace out.